Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to another chat with Matt. So we're recording this chat end of October 2020, and many countries that we are seeing around the world are experiencing, we'll call it a second wave of the coronavirus, which means a number of things are still different to when they were at the beginning of the year. One of the big changes that we're seeing in Mentor is the impact that's having on the way our customers are buying and the way their customers are buying. And therefore the effect that has on sales professionals that we work with day in, day out is often very profound. So now more than ever, in our opinion, they need support, they need help, they need coaching. So we thought we'd do a session today around coaching, and I'm delighted to introduce a good friend of mine, one of our colleagues from the Netherlands, Rene van Stein, to the chat today. Rene, how are you?
I'm fine, Matt. And you yourself?
I'm very well. I'm looking forward to this session.
Likewise.
Today. Yeah, absolutely. Likewise. So tell me a little bit about you, first of all, before we go into the realm of coaching.
Okay. Where do you want me to start? Okay, let me start with the most important date of my life, which is the 29th of September. I turned 50 this year. I'm living in the Netherlands together with my lovely Sandra for the last 32 years, my girlfriend, daughter Amy, and son Sam. And I love to help people grow in sales, communication, and NLP. And I do that as a self-employed trainer for the last 15 years. So that's a little bit about myself.
That's good. Good. Well, congratulations on becoming 50 on the 29th of September. I missed that one. I apologize.
No worries. I'm halfway, right? So I have another 50 years ahead of me if all things go well.
Yeah, or maybe more. You know, people live a lot longer these days. So
maybe, yeah. But my goal is 100 in good health.
All right. Well, there you go. That's some goal to have. So, hey, what a perfect segue into coaching. So, tell me why, as a coach, you feel coaching is so important.
Well, I think it started with my career as a sales trainer, Matt. And whatever I feel is that whenever you come into a company or into a team, you do your sales training and you do kind of the show. You know what I mean. So yeah. You're there for a day part or 2 days or 3 days, and then you're gone. And yeah. I always hoped that people will pick up whatever theory or practical exercises and bring it to life, only to find out that that's not always the case. So when it comes to coaching, I know that training has only a minor impact on the behavior of someone, and that coaching is really where the other feel kind of controlled in a certain way, and therefore putting things more into practice as well. Right. So for me, it has a bigger impact on the behavior because you can also, you are on a one-on-one relationship, where in training you're one to many.
More focused on the individual.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
I get that. And I think I always say to people I'm talking to that training in isolation doesn't work. So your example of you attend a 2 or 3 day session, yes, you're going to retain some information. Yes, you're going to put some into practice. Of course you will. But actually 6 weeks after, you lose a lot of it if you don't get coached, observed, feedback, and then try again. Because again, the psychology of behavior suggests that we don't just learn a new skill and then we're great at it. We have to practice, don't we?
Well, I always use the example of a small child, right? When it's 14, 15 months old, it starts to get from all fours on its legs, right? And well, if I ask you, Matt, did you immediately succeed when you stood up your legs? Could you walk immediately?
Well, do you know what? Like you, I don't know. I can't remember, but I'm going to guess probably not.
No. Okay. Well, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think that we have to practice. We have to sometimes fail where failing is not, let's say, a mistake, but it is learning something. But with walking is you have to stand up, do it again, do it a bit better. It's the same in sales or in presenting or in driving a car or riding a bike, right? When you start, you have those small side wheels, and
Yeah.
you feel safe, and then they're gone, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh. But now when you step onto a bike, well, at least we in the Netherlands, if we hop onto a bike, we can just drive, right? We can ride the bike. So it comes with practice.
Right. So what role then, in your mind, does the coach play in helping with that practice?
Well, I think it's, to me, it's kind of sometimes it's a bit schizophrenic, a schizophrenic role. And what do I mean with that? First of all, I always try and do my utmost to get the answers from the other by asking.
Right.
By open questions, by very suggestive questions to go into a certain area. In some of those cases, I find that people really don't know the answer, or they are not as creative and they're looking for some guidance. And then it's more that you step away from the coach role more into the mentor role, which is during coaching maybe not the best approach, but in some cases it's where people like that. And if I talk about the role as a coach by asking questions, not by only asking questions in a nice and fun way, but I always warn people with the following question, like, okay, can I challenge you?
Yeah.
Then I put on a big smile, and if people say yes, well, the first time they say yes, and the second time they become more aware that there may be a very direct question. But hey, I'm Dutch, so I may be open and I may be direct. So it's also sometimes very, very challenging. Like with challenging questions, I mean it like that.
So let me give you a challenging question then,
please,
if that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're playing the ball. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that's what I'm here to do.
Yep. Bring it on.
What happens if you don't coach? So take the example of you use the analogy of riding a bike, and you take the stabilizers off or the supporting wheels. Transfer that into a sales domain. So maybe you need to be able to speak more confidently to a C-level contact, but you've never done it before. So you go and you get observed for the first time. You've got those supporting wheels on, and then it's your time to go alone. If you don't have a coach, what's the impact to the individual?
I think that the biggest impact is that, at least what I see, is that people start to fear the things and therefore not doing it. And I think that as a coach, I could also comfort people in a certain way. And this is where my knowledge as an NLP trainer comes in as well, because I know a little bit how the behavior works and which buttons to turn as an example. So if I go back to things which you don't dare and you are not being coached, you will not start. But if those things are essential, I think, for your career, the company, your role, whatever, you just have to step into the water. And what I often hear is that people, as an example, is sometimes in role plays, that's in training as well. They say, oh, I hate role plays. And then they have done it. And they said, well, it was not that bad.
Right.
It was not that terrifying. And I said, because we start to fear, and the fear itself is what makes us kind of afraid. So if you really want to become good in things, you have to do the things more over and over again. And in some cases, a coach may ask you, like, okay, hey, what is your result? And sometimes people feel kind of obliged to help the coach by just following up on their own exercises and activities.
Yeah.
So it's like that, this is where the control comes in. or the, how do you say that, the stick behind the door. Well, that's a Dutch saying. Sometimes it's not translated very well.
No, you've lost me on that one, but
Yeah, no worries. It's like when you know, Matt, when you know in school you are being checked with a, let's say, with an examination of or so, you will make sure that you learn for it.
yeah, I think that's really true. So
Right.
actually, if you're going to go into that C-level conversation, of course, your coach prepares you as you go in there, and I think it's really important that what you discuss after the event is the honest appraisal of what's happening. You know, some things work, some things don't work as well. But to your point, the way we learn, the way we grow, the way we evolve is to be honest, share that with our coach, and then look at strategies to improve next time. And the more times we try, the better we get.
Yeah, and there is one other thing which I think is really important. If we find, let's say, the talents of people, it's easier to coach on talents and to make those even better than when you start coaching someone which is well on a very low level on a certain talent, right? Because everything that you start coaching here, it is taking away of the attention for the things where he or she is really good at.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's like learning a fish to climb a tree. Well, if you start coaching the fish, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But if you coach a monkey to climb the tree in a more efficient or effective way, I think that's better.
Right. So you're talking about coaching the things which are relevant to the individual.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of things where I am not so good in. I just wanted to say a different word, but it's not ethical enough. So there are things where I'm not good in, and things where I don't want to be good in. So if people are asking me like, okay, can you do this? Can you do that? And I think that the older I get, the more I know which things will fit and which things will not fit.
Yeah, I get that. And I think from our position as coaches, we've got to focus on the individual. It's always about the individual, not about the coach when you're coaching. So you've got to understand what's relevant for them.
Yeah.
The skills which are relevant for them to help them succeed in whatever they want to do in life.
But I must admit, Matt, that when I started delivering training, like 15 years ago, but also the coaching, I thought it was all about me.
Right. It's very honest.
Honestly, yeah. And so the show had to be around me, and I know that that was honest feedback of Jim McManus, who challenged me throughout my career. And he said, well, it is not all about you, it's about them. So change your approach, both in coaching and in training and those kind of things. So I learned a lot from him, and I applied a lot of it.
And I think that's the key thing, Rene. Even as coaches, we still have coaches who give feedback, and we can still grow. We can all grow. It doesn't matter what level of experience, how many years we've been on this earth, we can always still grow. There's always a marginal gain to be had for all of us.
Well, I think that the situation where we are in right now, right, with COVID, that is a situation which no one ever experienced to this extent, meaning that, well, we're in it together. One deals in a different way than somebody else. But I think that if we help each other, and I know that you're a good example, Matt. So whenever I am, for whatever reason, when I'm not feeling well, I tend to be like a male and closing down or out and turn inside.
Yep.
And one of the things, and you said it several times over the last, I think 8-9 years, like whenever there is something, feel free to call or to send an app, because we have to do it together. And I'm always very honest to my prospects and customers. I'm not a guru. I don't know all of the answers, but the more you talk about it and the better your I would say, support network around you, the better it is.
Yeah, and talking, and as we know, these things are really important. The importance of talking and sharing when you are in that space is vitally important. It really is.
Yeah, it's funny. So one of the things that I do, but that's not in an official coaching way, but sometimes I tell people like, hey, I changed some of my strategy in order to, well, let's say, stay in my own energy. And one of the examples that I'm now using, so you can see that as a coaching tip, is that we lose contact somehow, right, in this whole COVID situation. So sometimes we miss the reason why we should call. And now, since a few weeks, I'm checking at who is celebrating his birthday through LinkedIn, right? And instead of sending a message, I'm just calling them. And it's so funny. And I don't have to call the whole list, but let's say 2 or 3 people. And I say, well, there's a reason why I call, and there is, let's say, a question. So first of all, the reason why I call, you're celebrating your birthday, happy birthday. And the question is, how are you?
Yes.
And it's really funny how things are, well, they're leading to energy, they're leading to opportunities, they're leading to better relationships. So it's all good.
We've learned a lot of lessons this year around the check-in rather than check-up, and just being a good human being, just making sure that you do pick the phone up for no business reason, but for a personal reason. And a birthday is a perfect example.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things which is, I would say, in sales as well. One of the things is that we sometimes, when people are not good in sales, for example, or could improve, is that they are sometimes connecting to customers or prospects in order to get something. But if you reach out with the mindset of helping the other with services, with products, or at that time with nothing, it's a total different mindset, and there is less tension. So you're feeling much more relaxed, I would say.
Yeah, it's a great tip for anybody listening and watching. So as we get towards the end of our time together today, Rene, give me one of your top tips. So if I'm a coach listening or watching this podcast, give me your one top tip that's going to help them become an even better coach.
Well, there are a few, but I think the key is it is not about you, it's about them.
Yes.
And if it is about them, treat them, the coachee, like the way they want to be treated.
Nice.
So step away from my own preferences. If they prefer something else, then I need to be flexible. And I think in this 2 minutes, there are multiple tips. So sorry for that, Matt.
No, we'll go with that, because actually if we've got the parallels with everything that we do as facilitators, as coaches, as sales professionals. It's always about the customer, the coachee, the individual that we're working with. And if we can get that mindset around helping, and the focus is on changing the business outcome or whatever it may be, I agree. I think we achieve great things, but in a much more subtle and customer focused way.
I think so. Yeah. And I think that's what we need, right? And that's what companies need, and that's what individuals need and teams. So yeah, fully with you.
So Rene, I think we've gone way over time for our normal podcast, but I don't mind. I hope the listeners and the viewers don't mind, because it's been thoroughly entertaining and engaging and insightful talking to you today. So I thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was a real pleasure again. And well, I hope to see each other in real life soon. I think.
Let's hope so. And a belated 50th birthday. Here's to the next 50 years.
Yes, yeah, that would be a good idea. In good health, in good energy. Yeah, absolutely.
And look after yourself and your family, Rene.
Thank you so much, Matt. Same to you.
Thank you. And for everybody watching and listening, thank you for taking the time out for a slightly extended chat with Matt today. There's so many good messages that Rene has shared with us today. for me, if you can take one thing away, it's if you're in a sales role, if you're a coach, excuse me, it's always about the person that we're working with. It's always about the person that we're supporting. If you can take that message away, trust me, it will change a lot. Thank you for taking the time. We'll see you soon on another Chat with Matt.